All right, everyone, we're going to get started. So again, my name here is Chad Hornfeld. I'm the Director of Customer Operations, and welcome everyone to our Influitive Summer 2000 release preview. So we're very, very excited here, and we got so excited we found this image here we wanted to show you. This poor person trying to do something, and just their computer couldn't handle it. And for us, it's similar here because we've never done this before. We haven't had such a major release like this. We have so many things that we're going to be talking about. And we're super, super excited here. So let's jump in. And just going to do some introductions here. So, myself here, Chad, is the Director of Customer Operations. I run everything from on the customer side. We also have Jim Williams, who's our VP of Marketing, who's going to be joining. We have Erin, who heads up our product management team. And then we have Zaki, who's our Director of Consumer Engagement. So just a little bit of an overview in terms of what we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking a little bit about Unleash Your Advocates and what that means. Then we're going to get right into what's coming out this summer in just a few weeks. So we will be talking about Advocate Anywhere. Then we'll be talking about our new mobile product that's coming out called Maven. We'll be talking about our new reporting and dashboards that are coming out. We're really excited about that. And then just a few other items here. We're talking about how we can improve and how you can automate your swag fulfillment. Our challenge library, which is something that many of our customers have been asking for, and then we'll talk a little bit about referrals. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. If you have questions, just please keep them, and if you have them, if you want to talk about them, you can put them in the chat window. If you see something that's really cool and really exciting, you can always tweet something out in Influitive. And then lastly, this will be recorded. But it just won't be as good. So please stay tuned and listen in. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Jim.
Great. Thanks a lot, Chad. I appreciate it. And I'm really pleased to be joining this call as well. I've only been on a couple of customer calls, but I'm really excited about this one for all the reasons Chad listed. Our theme for the Summer 2013 launch is Unleash Your Advocates. And I really think it kind of captures some of the excitement and some of the things we're doing with the product, which we'll get into. You just go to the next slide. There's a whole lot in this release, more than we've put in any prior release, except for, of course, the launch of Advocate Hub. We're going to go through these in details, but what you can look forward to is this whole notion of unleashing your advocates means meet them where they are and make sure they have every opportunity to promote your brand, to evangelize your products, whether they're untethered, away from their desktop, on the go with a mobile app, whether they're on your blog post, on your website, in your cloud application where you can kind of capture their enthusiasm. We have awesome reports and analytics that allow you to dive into what's happening with your advocate marketing program. And I love the whole swag automation. There's nothing like being able to give back some of that love with T-shirt, a hat, a mug, and be able to do it quickly and efficiently. So just a lot of things to talk about. The next slide here. We also have a lot of things happening in conjunction with the actual product release. And so I want to just take a couple moments to make sure you guys are aware. First is we have a very big webinar for us next week that we're doing with Forrester Research called At the Intersection of Influence and Advocacy. For everyone who's been marketing for some time, you know that you kind of traditionally relied on these influencers, analysts, bloggers, pundits, media. But with the rise of advocates, it's really got you questioning, who's influencing who. And so I invite you to participate in that webinar next week. You can register for it on our website. We're also launching our Backstage Pass series, which is going to be a series of 20-minute Google Hangouts where we kind of profile a customer and the problems they're having and talk about how we solve that for them. Right? So you can look for those on our website as well. We've started up a community outside of our Advocate Hub and outside of the Influitive LinkedIn group, which is called the Advocate Marketing Group. Right? The idea here is to talk about broader concepts of advocacy and its impact on your business. I encourage you to look that up. You can find it through VIP as a challenge, or just look it up on LinkedIn. Join the discussion there. And lastly, which I'm really excited about, in order to celebrate the Unleash Your Advocates release, we're kicking off a really fun collaborative competition that's going to be conducted out of our advocate hub called VIP, which is called the Advocate Games. You team up with people, both employees of Influitive as well as other customers of ours, and collaboratively work on different types of challenges. And it's really, really fun. So if you're interested in that, log into VIP, take that challenge, and join us in the Advocate Games. And with that, I'm going to hand it off to the illustrious Erin Rothschild, who heads up product management here at Influitive, and walk you through some of these great additions to the product.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Jim. So I know several of you, and I'm excited to kind of talk about some of the new product features that we're releasing. The first one is Advocate Anywhere, and what I want to point out first, actually, you guys helped us name it. So we put out a challenge, and we're finding this is a very effective way, actually, in terms of naming communities, naming our products. But we basically put out a vote, and it was actually, we gave a few options, and this one was overwhelmingly chosen. So Advocate Anywhere is our new kind of big piece, and something we've been thinking about for a very long time, because a common thing we hear from our customers and prospects is, well, we've got a great hub and that's working great, but we also have a bunch of people who are just in our website and they'll never really come to this hub or this portal very easily. So Advocate Anywhere are embeddable widgets, and actually if we could just switch to the next slide. Thank you. And as it points out here, there's lots of different places where your customers reside. They're in your customer support portal, they're in your SaaS application, on your blogs, websites, and so on. You can now embed challenges in all those various different areas that you control your website, your web properties. So very similar to other widgets that are out there or other integrations, it's very easy to place 2 lines of JavaScript onto your web pages, which then lets you target people who may or may not be advocates yet. But it's really the idea being that it's happening at the moment of their success or enlightenment within your own product. So that may be on their customer journey when they first send out, their first email batch, or maybe it's when they do their first compensation management plan, for example. Maybe it's then about sending them a T-shirt, or really nurturing them through that process. So let's go to the next slide here and we can see what it's about. So today we have challenge lists, and you can see challenges and you can publish them and you can feature them so that they're featured higher on your challenge list, for example, and that's in the little star that you can see just under today there. And to the left, we've just added a new little button there, and actually if we just click forward on the animation, you can see that right now this challenge is not embedded, but these rules below let us specify where we want to embed this challenge into. So you can embed a challenge in several different pages, but you can specify that this particular challenge should only show up on one particular web page. For example, your pricing page, or this one I want to show up in my support portal, but when they're logged into my web app, I'd like them to see this challenge, for example. So that's all possible with our embedded widgets. And because they also leverage our Advocate Hub logins, we can basically also track your users. So if you're leveraging groups, for example, to segment your challenges right now, if someone goes from the Advocate Hub, for example, into your website, we will recognize them on your website and only present them challenges that actually fit within those groups that you've specified. So what we've got here, just as a quick demonstration, so Constant Contact is not a customer of ours, I just want to point out, but we just took some screen caps from here. We've pushed out, you'll notice on the right-hand side over here, we've got an icon, and if we could just go through that, Chad. So this is an example of a widget that you can basically embed within your website. The yellow is fully customizable. You can specify based on your website colors, and very specific colors, so it's not limited to our palettes that we provide to you. And this is an example of a review for an app exchange package that may be a good place to put it within your app, where someone's maybe configuring Salesforce, for example. It might be a great place to put something like that. And if we can go to the next slide right now, Chad. And this is just another example here of within a blog, you may want to point people towards different communities like Quora, for example, where there might be conversations happening about your product or the topic of interest around your blog and so on. So there's a variety of ways that you can implement this. Other things like collecting net promoter scores, asking people, for example, when they land on your customer success story page, you could actually wire it up so that your advocates that you already know and recognize are presented with a challenge to get their own story up on that page. So it's really about being in context of the user. Instead of driving them towards a portal, we're approaching them at the moment that makes the most sense. So if we can just drive forward on a slide, next. So as I mentioned, this is there's a variety of different ways of really using this. We're excited about all the different ways that we're going to find that you guys will be using the embeds in a variety of different ways. It's something we've heard a lot of interest from our customers over time, and there's a lot of different items that we'll be tracking and giving you insight into. And really, another key thing that I want to point out about this is this allows you to kind of create a pipeline, build basically a pipeline of your advocates that that you don't even know about yet. They may be in your web app right now, they may be in your support portal, but you haven't invited them in. You can specify, for example, with the Net Promoter Score, which can help you identify people who feel strongly about your product or service, and invite those people who give you high Net Promoter Scores, for example, into your hub. So it's a good discovery mechanism as well, and we're really excited about it and see it as a very key product. And I think with that, the next piece to this is Maven, and I'm just going to pass it over to Zaki, who's in charge of our consumer experience.
Thanks, Erin. So as you guys already know, we speak to a lot of our customers and advocates, and a constant refrain we hear from them is that they want to advocate for you while they're on the go. We've heard people say they want to advocate at little league games or when they're waiting for an oil change. So we're really proud to introduce to you our first mobile app. We're calling it Maven, and it's a centralized place where advocates can download and centralize all their advocacy activities for you in one place. It's going to be available on the iOS App Store this summer. And as you can see, advocates will be able to find all the companies to advocate for in one location and click through and complete challenges like they're used to doing for you. So all the challenges you can, or most of the challenges you can do on the web in your advocate hubs will be rendered in a very special way, a mobile-friendly way. Here you see 3 examples from marketing, sales, and products. You see a content marketing challenge where you can spread the word, and you see a sales challenge where you can participate in a reference program, and you see a survey challenge where you can give some product feedback. And all these stages are optimized for the phone in a very simple mobile-friendly manner. We also are introducing what we call impact scores with this release, and we're very excited about this because impact scores give advocates and administrators, program administrators, a very simple way to judge the effectiveness of their advocacy. An impact score is a number out of 0 to 99, which is assigned, and every advocate has a unique number, which is a measure of the impact of the advocacy activities that they do. An impact score is a function of the number of things you do, as well as your influence and the size of your network, but also the outcomes of those activities that you perform. So for example, if you send out a tweet and that tweet sparks a discussion on social media, then the impact of that tweet is higher than a social share that does not spark that discussion. And the idea here is that we want to actually let advocates know exactly how impactful they are and tie their activities back to real world results. We are also launching a few new stages that are very mobile friendly. 2 examples are photo uploads and geolocation check-ins. So we expect advocates to be able to check into events, for example, and complete special challenges of those events, upload photos. We keep hearing that administrators would like to enable fun activities at those challenges. Of course, all of this is tracked in Salesforce and your Salesforce CRM as per normal. It's 100% compatible with Advocate Hub, and you don't need to do anything special to embed a challenge on mobile. Everything that if a challenge that you create is mobile friendly, it will automatically be embedded into your or available on your advocates' mobile phones. We're launching this soon. It'll be available on the iOS App Store in July next month, and it's compatible with iPhones, iPads in compatibility mode, as well as iPod touches. And so with that, I'll hand you back to Erin to take you through our reporting features.
Thanks, Aki. So I think that everyone will definitely agree that reporting is something that we're not very strong on traditionally at Advocate Hub, and within the Advocate Hub, I should say. You know, starting from the blue men that we used to have that indicate how many engaged advocates you had, we kind of started off simple, and our idea really behind that was we wanted to, you know, get reporting right, and we wanted to understand what our users were doing and what sort of information they needed. And early on, we really felt we didn't have enough information about what we need to report on and how we can show how the health of your Advocate Hub. And we've definitely done a lot of questions and surveys amongst several of you, and I think we've come to a great place with reporting. And we've done a lot of work, and we've integrated provider in, and we now have a sophisticated reporting mechanism that really covers the various different areas of an Advocate Hub and what you'd want to monitor. So, you know, starting with challenge engagement, you know, talking about advocates and how they engage with the system and the retention of them, also about your points and you know, points and rewards, and also how you recognize and engage with your advocates. So as an example here, you can see we've presented some funnels in terms of how many have been invited versus joined, which are then active, you know, which is a good way of monitoring in terms of how your hub is performing and how engaging it might be. And also just some deeper tracking along those lines. I should point out as well that all of these items are generally you can drill down on various items as well as being able to slice and dice. So for example, we can see total engaged advocates by company or by date time frame, and all of this data will organize around those different axes. Next slide, please. Thank you. And so another important area, obviously, is challenges is a key part of the system. And you know, we're driving these reports. Some of them are quite, you know, obvious, but there's other ones that we found across several of our customers. For example, when we find that various different members of a team are creating challenges, we find that they're more engaging in general. And it's also interesting to see the different you know, authors of challenges and how they perform. So we've brought out some of that data that we worked on and made sure that we were working on insights and not just uncovering reams of data and that sort of thing. So there's other things that are coming along with this, or you know, being able to export this data more fully and so on. So this is, and I guess the one other area of reporting is really on the point economy. So breaking down how your points and rewards and how people are progressing through the various different levels and badges, and all that, as I mentioned before, you can break down by company or by group, and drill down into those various different items to kind of uncover the details that are specific to your instance of Advocate Hub. So next slide, please. I think this is just an overview of, you know, some of the various benefits we're kind of trying to address here. But as I mentioned, the scheduled reporting will be coming. We won't have it maybe at the very beginning, but it's definitely something we're working towards. As well as with this release, we're trying to answer the key questions that people ask when they start up their hub and after they've had their hub active for, you know, a while. So we're very excited about it because up till now we've had a very limited amount, and I know that many of you export your data to Excel, for example, and then maybe do some reporting on there. We'd love to hear if there's any reports that you know, you do on a regular basis, but you need to massage some data that comes out of our system. We want to reduce that and just make it easier for you to report and get data out of the system. So if we could switch to the next slide, please. All right, and just going a bit deeper. So speaking of engagement, we really do have some hypotheses. We believe that you know, just by recognizing people and engaging them in, for example, a portal like the Hub, we can make them feel more appreciated. And we've always believed that from the very beginning in Influitive that you know, recognizing your advocates changes their behavior, and engaging them on a regular basis also changes that behavior. What we're doing is making it easier for you to create engaging types of behaviors. So, for example, in this instance, what we've brought is automating swag fulfillment. So we know that you know, thank you cards, customized T-shirts, and so on are all things that drive brand loyalty and also like just general engagement. People appreciate them, especially when they're surprised. But I haven't met a marketer yet who enjoys doing the shipping aspect. Usually it's an intern or you know, a horrible task of managing and then dealing with the extra 200 T-shirts that are left over after that, you know, technology event that no one wanted the T-shirts at. So what we've thought about is really, before I dive into these pieces right here, is just we wanted to make it easy for you to give someone a reward that's like a T-shirt that's customizable and limited edition, and we'll show you an example of that in a minute. But as an administrator, it's relatively easy to set this all up. All you need to do is really create some automated rules. So you can do this also manually. You don't need to automatically give out T-shirts. It can be something where you create a T-shirt and you give it out yourself when someone's done something or they've attended a webinar, that sort of thing. Next. So when you're setting up the reward, there's, you know, the first question is how do you want to reward it, and if you want to automate it, and then the second question is really how are we going to fulfill it. From the very beginning, we've supported manual fulfillment, where, you know, you're basically shipping it off, and then we help you just track if it's being fulfilled or not. We've also had since the beginning charitable donations, where you can donate to charities. But now we're adding the redemption links to these options, where basically through either Printfection, for example, supports this with redemption codes. Amazon gift cards actually are also supported in this way as well, where you can basically get a long list of, let's say, like 200 gift codes that are all unique, and they're basically a URL. So, and all you need to do is basically mail it out to that person or provide it to them, and they click through on that link. So let's just go to the next here. And so this is just demonstrating that from Printfection, for example, they have actually a button to generate more links. You generate those links, they give you a CSV file of it, and you just paste them into a text box within Influitive. You can also do interesting things. Your rewards can actually be optional. You can offer, for example, a T-shirt or a mug. Not everybody likes collecting T-shirts, but some people appreciate coffee mugs. So you kind of drive it. As we look to the next slide, you'll see the experience for the end user. Oh, sorry, is first of all, we let them know that the next time they log into the Advocate Hub that they've been given this perk, for example. When they go to that and redeem it, this is the screen that, for example, Printfection is serving up right now. And we've created a custom campaign. Chuck Norris is my advocate, and that's a T-shirt you can get right here. There's actually a few different options that you can choose. And you can also select the size and enter your shipping info. You can give out 200 of these codes, but if only 50 people actually go and click through this and go to enter shipping info, you're only paying for 50 T-shirts. So that's how the unique codes basically work. We're giving out one to each person, and then we scratch it off the list. So these T-shirts, and you'll have a demonstration of this, but after this webinar, if you log in, the next time that you log into the Advocate Hub, VIP Advocate Hub, you'll be presented with the option of getting a T-shirt. We're using an early beta version of this feature just to give you a sense of it, because we really think that it's kind of a really cool aspect of it, and can re-engage disengaged advocates potentially. So we're going to be doing some testing, and we hope to bring you some blog posts about that in the future as well. So there's obviously some key benefits here. I think I've covered most of those already. By the way, you do get the mailing address and the sizes after this is being shipped. You can go into Printfection and get that information directly from it. That's it. And then the next slide is just a real quick one. It's more of a public service announcement. We've been refining referrals over time. And just next slide for a second here. Our referrals area has gotten much stronger, and I'm putting this out as a public service announcement because not all of our customers are leveraging referrals right now, but it's really something that is easy, relatively easy to implement, but can also get very sophisticated in terms of what we're tracking, especially if you track into Salesforce. We can create leads for you there and track them so that you can identify who's providing leads, and it's all reportable within Salesforce, for example. We also have an integration with LinkedIn so that you can display people in an advocate's network that match the job title that you're looking for. So in this case, we may have said marketing is an important title for us as a lead gen thing, and the people who are showing up in this example all have marketing in their title, for example. So you don't get random folks placed in there as suggestions. Next slide, please. We have one more item that I'm pretty excited about, and I hope that you guys will be too, but it's something that many of you asked for on a regular basis and in various different forms. This is our very first stab at it, but it's the challenge library. It's built-in best practices for advocate marketing and really letting us build and propagate out to you guys the various different challenges that we have going on, that we've used, that have been successful in the past, and it's really a great mechanism we're excited about in the future that you'll be able to share them. For right now, you can create your own challenges and you can put them into different categories. This also makes it easier to bring on maybe other new admins when they come on board. You can create custom templates for yourself within your own organization. So it's a really interesting and powerful feature, and I think you'll see that grow over time, but it's a great start for us and we're very excited about it. So that's all from the product perspective on my side. I think I'll toss it back over to Jim now.
Great. Thanks a lot, Erin. I appreciate that.
Question, actually, I should say.
Yeah, that's so that's it. We actually went through that pretty quick, and we covered a lot of material. And I assume there are some questions out there. Some have come in already on GoToMeeting here. So let me just pull that up here. I think this is a good one from Phil. Thank you for sending this in. And Erin, it's specifically around Advocate Anywhere. Phil asked if you can embed invitations, or are they only challenges? So for example, he said if you wanted to embed invitations to our customers within our SaaS application, is that a use case for Advocate Anywhere?
It's a really good question. Actually, something we've kind of built into the embeds. So there's, when we don't, if you were to put the embed into a blog, for example, when someone fills it, someone who's a web visitor, and if you target it out to anybody, that challenge would be visible to them. When they answer it or do that particular challenge, after they do it, if we don't know who they are, we don't recognize them as an Advocate Hub user right now already, we'll ask them, what's your email address? If they answer a Net Promoter Score question, for example, we'll record that, even if they don't put in their email address. But then we tie that all together so that even if that person comes back like a week later and then does another activity and we ask for their email address, then they fill in their email address, we know who they are, and then you can invite them to be part of your Advocate Hub. They become what we call a nominee, and they've self-nominated themselves effectively by completing an embed. You then have the option of kind of saying, yes, I'd like them to become part of my Advocate Hub, and you send them an invite, is basically what happens. So they can continue to complete challenges as embeds, but they won't have access to the portal until you invite them.
It's a good one. Erin, there's another question in here around Advocate Anywhere from Ray. How are current advocates tracked in Advocate Anywhere? In other words, how can points earned be applied to them? Do they just jump from Advocate Anywhere into the hub, or how does that work?
So it's a good question. Essentially what we do is you specify which challenges you'd like to present as embeddables. So you can have 10 challenges within your hub, and you may only choose to have 2 of them as showing on your website, for example, as embedded. When someone who's an Advocate Hub member currently goes to it and then it recognizes them through a cookie, and then basically we recognize that person as someone who's a member of your Advocate Hub. So we'll respect all the same rules as groups and so on, and including points, for example. So if they complete an embeddable challenge and you've assigned 25 points to it, they will receive 25 points for it. In addition, what's actually really neat too, and I'll just use this as an example, if someone does 2 challenges before they're even a member of your hub, and they enter their email address, and then you invite them in later, when they join, they'll start off with the points that they've already earned through those embeddable challenges that they did earlier that we kind of tied together. So I hope that answers that question. We'll probably be working on more exposing some of the points in the future so that you can you know, show them directly within the embeddable itself.
Great. A couple of questions on Maven. Do groups in the Advocate Hub apply to Maven? So if I'm in one group, I might not see challenges available on Maven to another Advocate.
Yes.
With you, Zaki.
Yes, it's a good question. All rules that you set for your advocates in Advocate Hub are respected in Maven. So if you're using Maven as an advocate and you're in a particular group and a challenge is targeted to you, you will be able to see that challenge. And if you're not targeted by a challenge, then you will not see that challenge.
Thanks, Zaki. Here's the question I've been waiting for. We forgot to address this, but Erin, can you tell the folks on the line when are all these wonderful features available to customers?
Sure, it's a great question. Obviously, we're launching all these features June 25th, so in about a week. Actually, it is a week from today, and we're very excited. Yeah, so all these features will be available then. Some of them are actually, actually no, they will all be available next week. I was going to say some of them are available as beta, but right now we've already opened up most of our beta items. If anyone wants a preview of any of these items or have specific questions, we can certainly connect with me offline. I'd be happy to go through them too.
Thanks. On the reporting, the reports and dashboards look great, but of course they're in the hub. How do you get those out of there? If you want to share them with someone who's not in the hub, can you email those?
You can email them out. Obviously, you can screen cap some of the various different graphics if that works. But you can also drill down to the details. So depending on what you want to present in terms of data, you can generally get that easily out of the data sets that we have there.
Another question on mobile. Question here, is there a mobile app for administrators in the works? One that allows you to manage challenges, fulfill rewards, etc. If so, when would we expect that coming out?
Yeah, that's such a really good question. We hear that from administrators all the time. We've recently been building up our mobile team at Influitive, and this is a use case we hear all the time. It's something that we're thinking about. We don't have a firm date that we can give out yet, but it's definitely something that's on top of mind right now.
I had another question here. Can you schedule your reports to get generated on a repetitive basis or in certain time frames? Is that available in the new reporting feature?
It will be available. It may not be available at the very first week that it's open, but it's something that we're definitely driving towards.
Zaki, is Maven available for Android?
So at launch, we're only on iOS. We did a little poll of our advocates, actually everybody's advocates, and we found that 75% of them, of smartphone owning users, have an iOS smartphone. So we decided to go with the iPhone at launch, but of course Android is a growing and very important platform, and so we have plans to take it to Android as well soon.
Great, thank you. So those are all the questions that I'm seeing right now in the question window. I am sure that our customers will have additional questions moving forward. And if they do, remember you guys can tweet them to us @Influitive. You can go to Freshdesk, or you can email anyone on this call, and we're all first name @Influitive. That's Jim, Erin, Zachy, and Chat @Influitive. So you can always reach out in that way, if that makes sense. Also, remember that we're using our new stuff ourselves, and so if you go into VIP today, you'll see a perk there that allows you to fulfill your own advocate marketing swag. I hope you do so. We got some nice shirts printed up for you on Unleash Your Advocates, and so you can go ahead and try out Printfection for yourself by logging into VIP and accepting your perk. And otherwise, I think that concludes our. Oh, hold on, I got one more. One more slipped in here. Rewards fulfillment. Is there any automated way to collect addresses, or is that done on the screen where advocates choose the award? Erin, you can address that.
Yeah, so the answer to that right now is that the address that they enter is collected on the Printfection side, where they then use that to fulfill it. So as a result, you can get that information from Printfection afterwards. It is something we're very interested in extending, kind of in terms of functionality, and we're very interested in where this goes and what you guys want to see more functionality around. So this is kind of our first iteration of it, but for right now, you need to go into Printfection to get those addresses. And actually, we just implemented a new upload feature as well, which is kind of related to that in the sense that you could upload those new addresses, for example, into Advocate Hub now as well, into a field.
Excellent. Well, Ray, I hope we got your last question in there under the wire. But again, if you have any additional questions, please reach out to us via any of the means I listed earlier. And we'll let you go a bit early. Thank you again for signing in and going through our summer 2013 release. You will see more communications on this as we lead up to the actual release next Tuesday. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, and we will be in touch.